So hey guys, this is going to be a video about my lighting system. I've thought about making this video for a while. I never have, and people have asked questions about the lighting system that I use. I'm currently in the process of basically upgrading my lighting system. So in the past year, I've purchased a bunch of new lighting systems. So a little bit of background, like got into riding, mountain biking in the very early 90s, and that was just sort of the heyday of any sort of high performance lighting systems. So what I had was Cat Eye made these lights that ran on like C cell and D cell batteries, and I mean they were affordable, but really they only really gave you enough light so that cars could see you. Yeah, you could ride a little bit in the dark, but where I live, where when you do your night riding is generally in the fall and in the winter when it's dark and temperatures are much cooler, and those Cat Eye lights that just use regular batteries that you would buy at a store, and I can remember doing some rides like -20, which is normal winter temperatures here, and I was like, yeah, I had two of these Cat Eye lights on my handlebars, and I lived, just a few hundred meters from a power line, so there was like snowmobile trails on them, and all excited to go do a night ride. I got fresh batteries in my Cat Eye's lights, and so I'd head out, and within 20 minutes the lights shut off because the batteries just got so cold that they wouldn't work anymore. So I'd be riding in complete darkness after that. And then, nicer lighting systems did exist, but they were completely out of my price range at the time. But now, I'm in a position where I can afford a few nicer things, and prices have come down on lighting systems. But you still get what you pay for. If you want a really nice lighting system, you should expect to pay some money for it. So my first true high performance lighting system, I've lost count of time. It's probably been 7-8 years ago. I bought a light from a brand called a system from a brand called Cygolite. So what I had gotten then was two 650 lumen lights, which are actually visually the same as what you see here, but there were 650 lumens each. And then for my helmet, I got a 350 lumen headlamp. So these are basically designed more for handlebar use. So they basically have a flood. They have a wide spread on them, and then the helmet one had a narrower, more focused beam that had tons of throw, so you could see way off into the distance. And man, I paid a lot of money for that system. Here in Canada, prices are generally higher on stuff than you guys will pay in the States, and that system gave me years of more or less trouble-free service. And just this past year, I finally started having problems with the batteries on the headlamps, and there was a noticeable reduction in life on the batteries on the headlamp. And the batteries are available to buy to replace them, but I took that as a time to upgrade to basically a higher lumen output. So I stuck with the Cygolite brand because I didn't really have a lot of experience with other brands, and they provided me with reliable performance. So what I have now on my handlebar is two of these Trident X from Cygolite. So they're 1300 lumens each at maximum, and I bought the highest capacity battery for them. So basically it says here that on the highest setting, which will be 1300 lumens, that I can run them at 3 hours and 30 minutes. So yeah, I think that's true. The runtime is pretty accurate. But again, like I said, my main use for these is late fall, winter, so they're going to be used in very cold conditions. I even emailed Cygolite to ask them if they actually did true cold weather testing on their products, and in a roundabout way, he basically said no, because they're based in California. Why would they go ride in -25 if they don't have to? But I think some of these light companies are missing out on, in my opinion, to focus their advertising to fat bikers, because if you live in the north, in a northern climate, you're going to do a lot of riding at night on your fat bike. So it'd be interesting if someone comes out with some fat bike specific or winter riding specific light systems designed to handle the cold and cold temperatures. So yeah, the Trident X. So I've got 2 of them. So I've got 2600 lumens in front. Like I said, this is a wide beam. It doesn't have a lot of throw, so it doesn't basically illuminate to a far distance, but the swath in front of you is totally illuminated. So battery wise, like I said, I got the extra capacity battery, so it's a fairly large battery, 7.6 volts. I'm not sure of the milliamp hours or the amp hours. It does have a strap system, so you can actually strap them to your frame, and I have done that. But now that I've started using a frame bag works fantastic for holding your batteries. So I have one on this side, and then I have the other battery in the pocket on the other side. So very happy with these lights. They also use a clamp and screw system. I know a lot of designs now just use like rubber straps, which are super easy and fast to get on. But what I like about these is because it's hard, it's basically hard plastic, they're really easy to rotate on the bar if you want to change the position on them, which I quite like. And they are easy to move from bike to bike. And then yeah, so now I've also replaced my helmet light. So what I have now is a light from a Canadian company called Gemini. So this is what's called the Gemini Duo. So it's a helmet as well as handlebar light. It's 1500 lumens of maximum output. Just waiting for it to stay put there. So it uses a rubber strap system, which again is really easy to put on, and then it's fairly simple to adjust the position, the angle of it. Tonight it was a little bit annoying. I was grabbing it with my hands and trying to reposition it, and it would kind of go back to the position it was in before. So I'm going to have to try and figure out a way to get it to stay exactly put where I want it. I mean, it only changed by a degree or two, but it was enough that I noticed. So you can get the unit with 2 different batteries. So I actually bought both batteries. So this was the stock battery that came with it. So this is a two cell. So it's a 3.7 volt battery. It's actually the same size battery that came with the Cygolite system I was using before. So the literature says it'll run at 1500 lumens with that battery for an hour and a half. So I will use that battery mounted on the helmet for some of my night rides where I'm only going to go out for like 30 minutes to 1 hour mostly. Like tonight I went and did a workout on a trail system near my place, and I was out for like 50 minutes. So I'll use that smaller battery. But I did also purchase the high capacity battery for it. So this is the 4 cell. They say the runtime on this one is at 1500 lumens is 3.5 hours. But the middle setting on this is 900 lumens. So it'll run for over I think 4.5 hours on this at 900 lumens, which one of my main uses for this is in the wintertime, usually on a Saturday evening, middle of winter, I'll go out for a 3-hour ride on a trail system near my house. And the reason I go there at night is because in the daytime, it's a very popular trail system, and there's so many people walking and people walking with their dogs. It's just a non-stop battle for your position on the trail with other users. So I just started going there at night, and you have the place to yourself, and when it's white snow, you have plenty of visibility. But I also have this headlight here. So this is from a company called Genesis. It's basically a like a head strap system, and I got this through my parents' air miles. They had a bunch of air miles they had to unload, and they asked if I wanted anything, so I got this unit. So it's advertised as being 1,000 lumens, and it uses a really small battery. They say it's a 3.7 volt battery. It has a little rear flasher. It's not super bright, but it's handy. It just has the two options on it. So that's cool to have that red light high up on your head. It says, their literature says it'll run on high for 3 hours at 1,000 lumens with that small battery, so I don't believe that. I've used it for 2 hours, but at 2 hours I noticed that there's a reduction in the light output on it. So what I'm basically going to do with this one is, this is going to be my commuting light. So I'll use this on my ride to work because it provides more than adequate light. It doesn't have as much throw as like a specific biking design, but it has more than enough to get the job done. And what it'll basically do, because this was free, so I'll basically use this up and use up the battery. Probably last me about a year, because I'm using it like 4 or 5 days a week. And I've been taking a longer route to work, so I've been doing like a 50-minute ride every morning on my way to work. So I'll use this up, and it'll allow me to use my nicer, fancier helmet system for my actual fun rides, my actual off-road rides, which is what I bought it for. So, oh, and then in terms of the front lighting, I also have this Lysine flasher here, which I just got about a month ago. So this has a bunch of different settings on it. And this has a rechargeable, non-removable battery in it. And so I bought that more for early fall, late spring, when it's starting to get light out, but you still need to have some protection for traffic to be able to see you. But I still use it now, even with my headlamps, because I prefer the overkill route when it comes to my lighting. And on the rear, I have basically the rear version of that Lysine light. I think maximum on these two is about 100 lumens. And then I also got from Gemini, this is called the Iris. So this is, so I think that's 100 lumens flash, 100 lumens pulse, but I believe it's actually capable of 180 lumens. You can program it to run on high, much higher setting than that, but it uses up much more of the battery. So before these ones, I've been using all kinds of cat eye designs, and they have like a plastic strap system that they have a knob you have to tighten up. These ones are really simple to put on because they use the rubber straps, so they're really easy to move from bike to bike, no tools needed, that sort of thing. The main downside to these designs is you can't pivot them, so you can't change the angle. The cat eye ones, I like to pivot them so I know that they were shining right at the cars, into the sight line of the drivers. These newer designs are getting so bright that they would hurt the driver's eyes. So I guess it's a good thing that you can't angle them up like that. And they are really bright, so they totally illuminate the rear tire and they illuminate the ground near you. So on the rear, I definitely go the overkill route as well. I don't want to be rear-ended. Usually you can always hear cars coming up behind you. But the way I see it in the morning, people are groggy. They're not, where I live, like right now it's getting colder and colder and colder. So they're not expecting to see cyclists out. So for that reason, I prefer to have as much rear illumination as I can get. So I think that about covers it. So now up front, basically, I think combined at maximum output, I have 4,100 lumens between my those two handlebar lights and my headlamp. So I have plenty of light. I might even try to do some nighttime road rides. So head out into the country, down dark country roads, to see how those do for that, because I have noticed before the previous system that I did do some night rides. So I think I had two times 650 on the front lumens, and then one 350 on my helmet. And for most of the road riding, it was fine. But once you started going down like a completely dark road where you had a fast downhill, like 50 to 60 kilometer an hour downhills, they didn't have enough throw for those kinds of speeds. So I'm curious to see if I'll be comfortable with this system using the Cygolite, so 2600 on the handlebars, and then 1500 lumens on the headlamp. And then this has quite a bit of throw that I noticed using it tonight, so it definitely lights up way off into the distance. So I'm curious how this setup will do on high-speed road descents. So yeah, just a video about my lighting system because people have asked questions. There's lots of Chinese knockoff stuff on the market. Yeah, a lot of it's priced pretty cheaply, but I'm not willing to take the risk with my money. So I'm willing to spend a fair bit of money on my lighting systems because I kind of consider it an investment, because the previous, brand name stuff I bought lasted me for quite a number of years, and I'm hoping that this setup will give me quite a few years of reliable performance. Thanks for watching. Bye.